Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and I'm back with another edition of Yarn Love, where I work with Red Heart to show off one of their fantastic yarns and tell you a little bit more about it. In this video, I'm talking about a classic Red Heart Super Saver, but what you might not have seen is all the great varieties of Super Saver that are out right now. So today I want to go ahead and show off the original Super Saver, as well as 3 additions to the line, all in worsted weight: Super Saver Fair Isle, Super Saver Pooling, and Super Saver Ombre. So let's take a closer look. First, let's take a look at Red Heart Super Saver. This comes in great solids, as well as stripes, prints, and heathers. Now, the sizes can vary depending on the variety, so I want to make sure to tell you to always check the label. Each of the Super Saver varieties have a slightly different weight and yardage. So for instance, this Super Saver Solid in white is a 7-ounce ball with 364 yards. I also want to point out that all of the Super Savers are made in the USA, and if I flip this over here, you can see they are Okotex Standard 100 certified. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but basically what this means is that all of these yarns have been tested for over 300 harmful chemicals, and they are rated as safe. So this is a yarn that you can trust for your kids, for your pets, and all over your home. All of the Red Heart Super Savers are also 100% acrylic, which means that they're machine wash and dryable, which I absolutely love. The ones I'm focusing on today are also all a 4 medium weight, and recommend a 5.5 millimeter hook or 5 millimeter knitting needles. One of the other things I really love about Red Heart Super Saver is this little diagram right here. You can always check on the label to see how to get it going as a center pull skein. So you can see here, number 1, you pull out that end. It's actually the one that's secured under the label here on this one. That is the end from the outside. And then right here, it shows you, and it's already sticking out. I didn't have to go looking for this. It was just like this straight from the store. Here is the center pull end. And again, this is one of the things I love about Super Saver. It is wound as a center pull skein. So you can always pull from the center with confidence with Red Heart Super Saver. So that is a look at the standard, just plain old Red Heart Super Saver. You've probably seen this in any big box store, any big box craft store. It's definitely sold in some, big box discount retailers. I think you know who I'm talking about here. This is a yarn you can find everywhere. But there are a couple new additions to the Super Saver line, so let's take a closer look at those. Up next is Super Saver Fair Isle. While the original comes in 149 colorways, this one adds an additional 8 colorways. You can see that this is a little bit different, and these work up. Here you can see the picture of the scarf on the label, I hope. You can see it works up in a really interesting way, almost giving a sort of Fair Isle-esque look to it. Now, these skeins come in 5-ounce skeins with 236 yards, but they're still made in America, and they still have the diagram. They're 100% acrylic, just as washable. Absolutely a fantastic yarn with some really interesting effects. You'll also find 11 patterns for it already up on redheart.com, and I've got a Fair Isle beach tote that I designed using this one as well. Up next, Super Saver Pooling. Now, this one, as you can see, also has some color changes like the Fair Isle did, but this is designed specifically for pooling patterns. You can see right here with the example shown on the label, you can get some really great pooling plaid effects. And so that means that those color changes, while they aren't long enough to necessarily be considered striping, they're long enough to form a pattern. And this yarn is specifically designed for planned pooling. So that is pretty darn neat. Again, of course, it's Okotex certified. It's got your diagram for the ends, and of course is machine washable and dyeable, or dryable rather. But I did want to point out that the some of the prints and colors do have dye lots. If I pull back up the original Super Saver here, one of the great things about the solids, there it is, no dye lot. So you can put a project aside, come back to it later, pick up another skein when you run out, and you don't have to worry about matching those colors. But for the prints and things like that, there are dye lots. Let's see right there. So you will want to go ahead and pay attention to those. Now there's one more variety I want to show you here. I'll go ahead and just pull it on up. This is Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. Now this one comes in a great big skein. This one is 10 ounces or 482 yards. And that's particularly fantastic because This yarn, if we look at the end here, features these really great gradual color changes. So you can get some decent sized projects out of just one skein and maintain that great gradient. And then of course, after you had that color change, if you need to add another skein, it's much easier to sort of blend those together when you've got such a great colorway change happening in just each skein. And of course, again, it's got the center pulls, made in America. Got your information right there. It is just a really great yarn. So now let's go ahead and take a look at how all of these yarns work up on the hook and needles. All right, here I have a crochet swatch that I've been making with Red Heart Super Saver Ombre in the Anemone colorway. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You can see it's a really pretty sort of almost berry colorway. Absolutely gorgeous changes. But as I want to point out here, these are some long color changes, so I've got a pretty good size swatch. We're probably not going to change colors for a little while. So that is really cool. It's one of the things I love about this yarn. Now, another thing I want to point out is that this has really good stitch definition. And that is one of the reasons that I like to recommend Red Heart Super Saver for beginner crocheters as well as knitters. You can really see your stitches. You can see all your loops. There's not a lot of fuzz when you use it, not a lot of fuzz inherent in the yarn. So you can really see what you're doing with this yarn. So if you haven't used it before, you'll be happy to know, again, no fuzzing while you're working with it. It doesn't really split on you while you're crocheting with it. I'm using a wooden hook here, so it's got a little bit of drag to it, which is another great feature. If you are a beginner, it won't slip off your hook too easily. If you're a more experienced crocheter, you could use a metal hook with this or even plastic, and that would slide a lot faster. This one in particular is by Brittany, and I do enjoy using it for this. In particular, if I had a project that I wanted my stitches to be very tight with, I would probably want to use a wooden hook with it because that would allow me to have that much more control of the yarn and keep those stitches a little tighter. Now you can see I've been making double crochet stitches. This is with a 5.5 millimeter hook, and it's got fairly decent drape. This is the hook size recommended on the label. It's not too bad. It's a relatively, sort of a medium weight fabric. It's a medium weight yarn. It makes a great medium weight fabric. It is also a great yarn to use for amigurumi. If you're an amigurumi crocheter, this one is very recommended. I think I said, 149 different colorways. So you can get exactly the colors you need to make whatever creature or play food or whatever it is you're crocheting. You just need to switch to usually a smaller hook to get that really nice solid fabric, but always a great choice for that. So also I just go ahead and frog a few stitches here. You can see it doesn't fuzz up when it frogs either. So another great reason that it is great for beginners as well as those who just want their projects to stand up to real life. So let's go ahead and pick up that knit swatch now. So I've been working on my knit swatch with another set of Brittany needles. In this case, it's 5 millimeters as recommended on the label. And this is another one of the ombre colorways. This one is called Scuba. I just really love the blues in here. It's so pretty. So I've just been doing a few rows of garter stitch here. You can see the fabric is about as thick, actually, if we go ahead and pull up our crochet swatch. Pretty comparable thickness, I would say. It is nice and squishy. The yarn doesn't have a whole lot of stretch to it. It is 100% acrylic, but it's got enough to comfortably move on your needles. So again, I think this would be a great yarn for a beginner knitter. You can see each of your stitches. You're not splitting it with your hook. It slides, with your needle rather. It slides pretty darn well. And as we saw with the stitches I pulled out in the crochet, when you've made a mistake, it's easy enough to take out. Although, of course, frogging your knitting is always a little more fraught. So I haven't really found any odd bits in any of the skeins of Super Saver I've used over the years. I don't think I've ever found a knot, maybe one in my life. And I've, of course, been using Super Saver for years now. It's been very consistent, color to color. Like I said, there's no dye lot in the standard ones. There is a dye lot in the prints, but even those seem very consistent. I haven't found any splitting. It slides well on the hook and needles. Of course, it slides better on metal or plastic than it does on wood. It does have a little bit of grip to it. I've never run into any thin or lumpy sections on Super Saver. It is just a remarkably consistent yarn that you can really always count on. Great for beginners, great for household items. Like I said, anything with kids, pets, anything you want to be able to throw in the washer and dryer and know that it's going to look better, if just as good, if not better, than the day it was made. Super Saver definitely has a reputation for softening up over time as well. It is a little bit of a rougher yarn to the touch, but like I said, with wash, it tends to soften up quite a bit, and you can definitely use that feature to your advantage if you're making amigurumi, or I've designed a set of bookends using this yarn, tissue box covers, things like that. Anything where you actually want a little bit of stiffness, it can be a great yarn for that as well. And you can really use that feature with the smaller hooker needles to your advantage. And that's been Yarn Love for Red Heart Super Saver. I hope you'll check out all the fantastic varieties of this yarn that are currently available. I just want to point out one more time that your standard Super Saver doesn't just come in solids. It also comes in prints, heathers, and stripes. Sorry I didn't have any of those to show you here today, but you can check those out at most stores. A total of 149 colorways in this yarn. There are nearly 1,100 patterns free on the Red Heart site, Knit and Crochet for Super Saver. And these are all 4 weights, so they're all interchangeable. You can mix, you can match, you can put them together to really create your own beautiful projects. So 149 colors of the regular Super Saver. The Fair Isle has 8, the Pooling has 6, and the Ombre has 18. So definitely check all those out. Go to the link in the description. There you'll find the both this video as well as links out to this yarn, link out to a giveaway for this yarn that is going on in June 2019. So be sure to check that out as well and get entered to win. You could win up to $50 worth of Super Saver in that giveaway. It does, however, end right at the end of June, beginning of July. So be sure to go ahead and check that out right away. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more yarny fun. Have a great day.